Welcome in. It's the PHNX Suns Show. I'm Espo. That's Saul, and that is Flex. We got plenty coming up for you today on the program. We're going to talk, are the Suns Nuggets killers? We're also going to take a look at the scoreboard and talk some history. But what we're going to get into first is Devin Booker being on with JJ Redick. Guys, how are you today? How are you doing?
Good.
I'm good. Good.
Oh,
Sun shining. Got the shades on. It's so damn bright. Feels good.
those are the lights, Flex. That's not the sun. Sorry. We're going to get into JJ Redick and Devin Booker here. I was very impressed by that interview. Rarely, if ever, do we get to see Devin Booker in that kind of environment, that comfortable, talking for a full hour. I felt like this was one of the few occasions that the fans got to see the Devin Booker that some of us that have been around him saw, on a regular basis. That was true Devin Booker there.
Yep. Are you?
Go ahead.
Yeah. No. If you haven't seen this, take the time to see it. Hour and 6 minutes, something like that. Yeah, this was incredible by JJ Redick. I think he got Book in his element. I mean, they were in his house, chilling in his space. I think the questions were fantastic. I think the path in which he laid it out was really good. How he kind of strung the whole thing along and went all the way back from the rookie year to now. So a lot of very interesting things, and it was very real. Love what I saw.
I mean, I don't know Devin Booker, so I have no idea what he's like. I've only been able to engage with him on a handful of occasions, and it's pretty short and sweet. So to hear a little bit more of this was pretty enlightening. I think Devin Booker, the one thing I can say is every time I've ever engaged with Devin Booker, his demeanor, or really his tone and his energy, is about the same way it was in this podcast. So he's just, sometimes you look at a guy and you're like, you're just too cool, man.
Yeah, too cool for school.
I think that's just, he's so locked in, and they get into that in this. And one of the biggest storylines of Devin Booker's career is how much others dislike him, right? We hear that a lot. It's, the national media or this fan base or this particular player. Well, Devin Booker point blank addressed that talking with JJ Redick.
Well, we're getting our ass kicked early. Nobody cares about you when, you score 30 and lose. Like, nobody hated me then or disliked me then. Like, that comes when you start winning games. Like, I guess when you're some sort of a threat, I would word it as, but, it's in music, it's in every industry. I just feel like early on, when you're out the way and just doing your thing, people are cool with it. But, when you turn into a threat, I feel like that's when you start hearing about yourself.
I love a guy that realizes that he is a threat and the rest of the stuff is just noise. And that's obviously how he felt there. I stand by that moment that people realized he was a threat was that 70-point game, and that they hated the way he got there. And that's where it all started. But it obviously doesn't bother Book that that's the way he's viewed.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting perspective. I've never really viewed that 70-point game as that, but I do agree that nobody gives a shit about you until you're a threat. And that is absolutely the truth.
Yeah.
Like, you were insignificant until you proved otherwise. And once he got to that point where he was making the playoffs, and that first playoff, he goes all the way to the finals, he became a significant threat. And I think a lot of people, like the Nuggets had their we don't skip steps bullshit and all this other stuff. Well, I think that a lot of them perceived Devin Booker as skipping steps because he got Chris Paul and they went all the way to the finals that first time he ever got to the playoffs. And I would say, no, absolutely not, because of all the shit he had to go through just to get to that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that bubble run and the shit behind that is just, man, it's pretty significant that he says that because it is the truth. And we see it every day. You know, people that are insignificant, and all of a sudden they get a little love or they get a little attraction and people just hate. They hate on it.
Yeah.
Because they're haters.
Man, this was probably my favorite clip. I'm glad you pulled that because, where I'm from, that's called dropping jewels, right? You got an OG to drop some jewels on you. Hate makes you great. I was told that a long time ago. If people are hating on you, it means you're doing something really good, right? When everybody's loving on you and giving you praise and no one's hating on you, you're doing all right. You're doing all right, but you're not at the level where you're causing people to feel worried about what you're doing or threat. And I love that he took a step forward and said, this is more than just basketball. It's life in general. It's in music. It's in other art forms. When people start taking shots at you and they start talking about you and they start gaining traction, you're doing something right, man. And so you want a healthy balance between the two. And he nailed it, man. He nailed it. Like, there was a time at the beginning where Book was like the nice baby face, and it was like, yeah, this guy's really good, and you had players commenting about him. Yeah, I like Devin Booker. I like this. I like that. But then when you get to the point where you got players and you got national media and people really digging in with the Devin Booker narrative, it just makes you realize how far he's come. Like I love this clip because I thought it was real, and I think it applies to all walks of life beyond just basketball.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things said to me early in my career was love and hate pays the same. Right?
There we go.
And I mean, it's the truth. Whether they love you, they hate you. If they're talking about you, that's the key, right? Yeah. In this business, in entertainment in general, and I think that's something that Devin seems to understand. And my point about the 70-point game and how that's the genesis of it is, think about it. Earl Watson didn't do him any favors in the way that he got to 70. He does it in Boston, which is hallowed ground for everybody. He was the first guy to do that since Kobe, and he was this, and they lose, and he's this, kind of baby-faced kid that nobody really knows. And I think a lot of it started from there because it was like that was where the looter and a riot comment came out of, and he's a stat filler. He doesn't really put forth effort. It's just bad team, easy points.
I get you. I wasn't living in Phoenix at the time, and I wasn't ingrained in Suns Twitter at the moment that this all happened. Yeah. And so my perspective is different because I just felt like nobody outside of Phoenix was really talking about it. I know he dropped 70 in the Garden and all that, but if you were around Spurs fans like I were, nobody gave a shit about that. Nobody cared. It was just another feat, right? But I didn't feel like everybody hated him outside of that. But that's my perspective. Obviously, you guys, you had a different perspective, obviously being involved in that as well. So, and then my other thing going back to that too, in terms of the hater, right? If you've ever played pickup ball,
I was just about to go.
And for me, people would look at me and they didn't really think much of me because I wasn't a physically imposing kind of guy. I didn't look ripped, and I didn't look like I could jump out the gym. So nobody really thought too much of me until we got on the court, and then you start dropping a couple buckets, and then all of a sudden you start hearing them chirp, and you start hearing them talk trash because they didn't think they had to worry about you at first, and now they got to dedicate all their time to you because you're the only one killing them. And so that's exactly what it is for Book. He just is that dude that nobody really paid attention to too much, which is unfortunate because he's been good for a long time. But when he became a threat and the team became good, that's when everybody was started to really pay attention to what he was really doing here in the desert. And it's props to him, man. He deserves every little bit of love he gets.
I just wanted to piggyback on that real quick. Think about all of your experiences as a basketball fan growing up. You got your favorite team, and then you got other players around the league. I can honestly tell you that every GOAT I hated. That's just it has to go. To me, it goes hand in hand. There was a time where I hated Michael Jordan.
Yeah,
And you don't
1993
hate
was it.
scrubs. I say it again, like you don't hate scrubs. I hate to put it to that.
Not true. I hate John Paxson, and he was a scrub.
Yeah, Landry Shamet.
Okay, y'all taking it to a whole nother level. Yeah, but no, like, listen. There was a time I hated Mike.
Yeah,
there was a time. My son's first. I mean, some of the first things he can put together that I taught him was Kobe's a bum. Like I would say it, and he finally started saying Kobe's a bum. He's running around the house in diapers or whatever the hell, you know. But that's how much I hated Kobe. I'm like, bro, say he's, you know. So Kobe, Mike, Magic, Isaiah at one time, which I loved his game, but he would beat a lot of my teams. And so yeah, I just feel like when you get to that level of greatness, hate is part of it. And then later on, you appreciate it. Like all those guys I mentioned are now guys that I appreciate.
Yeah,
so,
I think after they leave and they're not the guy going against your team, you can look back and I despised Michael Jordan after '93, right?
Right.
But when you go back after he's not on the court, not taking on your team, you watch and you go, yeah, of course, this was poetry in motion. And, you know, even Kobe, to an extent, just the on-court, you look at it and you go, yeah, I get it. I get the mentality. Yeah. I get what he did. Those kind of things. Saul, you brought up Devin Booker kind of making it through those losing seasons and coming out on the other end. JJ and Devin talked about that as well.
Straight from Kentucky, like we lost one game the whole season to getting our head beaten every night. That's not easy, bro. Losing every night. And that's tough to do. Like you have to find, like we talk about motivation, like you're going into games kind of knowing the situation, knowing we're in a rebuild, but we're going to have to play our best game ever to win tonight. And I was down for that every night. And I was pissed off every time we lost.
I mean, that encapsulates Devin Booker right there. I didn't care. I knew what our talent on this roster was. I was still pissed off when I lost, and I went into every game thinking we were going to have an upset there. You know?
Yeah.
You know what's so funny is he talked about basketball IQ, I think a little bit before that, or JJ Redick asked him about basketball IQ.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you're talking about basketball IQ and the lowest of the lowest in the NBA circles was when Devin Booker got to the Suns and that team was just not very good. Well, especially in 2018, man, that team was just terrible. There's a lot of basketball players out there that didn't really know what the fuck was going on. They just didn't. They straight up just didn't. They weren't good basketball players and they couldn't execute at a high level. And if you're a guy like Devin Booker who pays attention to all the little details, and you're watching the same dudes make the same mistakes over and over and over again, and you still have to keep it within yourself to push and try to strive to get wins and get buckets and do your very best, man, that is hard. Yeah. That is a very hard feat to accomplish. And he did it. And I give him all the props in the world for doing such a thing because, man, there were some dum-dums on those teams that did not deserve to wear a Suns uniform, yet alone be in the NBA. And most of them are not in the NBA anymore. So,
yeah, no, you nailed it, man. It's incredibly hard. And it's funny that we talk about that. He mentioned motivation. And we talk about even that now. Today with this iteration of this Suns basketball team, like they're so good, it's hard to stay motivated every night. There was a clip in there where he talked about, you know, game 20 on a Wednesday in Portland. Like it's hard to get up for that game and in comparison to like a playoff game or a game like what's going to happen tomorrow, right? And so for him to be able to, and remember, he played his first NBA game at 18. Like he was a baby. Like he came to this place, a new place. These guys are just, I don't know what the hell they were doing. And he had to, for 3-4 years, just put his head down, grind, stay motivated, stay on top of things. And eventually got it to where it's at right now. And so, yeah, man, like people think these NBA players, they're in the league, they on TV every night, they get these big checks, they got nice houses, and everything is sweet. No, man, this shit really affects them.
Well, I think for some guys, it's sweet. I think for other guys that are extremely driven, and you see this in every walk of life, it eats at them. Like they're obsessed with it, that they have to find a way to succeed. Otherwise, it drives them crazy. And I feel like that's Devin Booker is, okay, I understand the reality of this, and sure, I'm getting paid well, and this is all fun and well and good, but I'm going to obsess about every little detail until it's right. And that's what amazes me that he stayed here. Because the easy path would have been, I'm done with this. This ownership group doesn't know what the hell they're doing. I got no talent on the court. I want another city. Yeah. And instead, he sat there and he went, no, I want to be part of turning this around. And I think that's what's so impressive. And they didn't just talk about the past. They talked about the present and how that's helped turn things around. And in particular, their center, Jusuf Nurkic.
Just IQ, just having basketball conversations and being able to talk through certain situations is the most impressive to me. And, he'll come with his own gist on things. He'll be like, yo, me and Dame used to get this all the time. I'm like, let me try that out. So it's just an ongoing conversation and a relationship that is developing. And I love being on the court with him. He's going to get after it every time. And he takes matchups personally. Like,
we've seen that.
Yeah, he's down to get aggressive and physical. And, that's all you want.
Is that kind of a nod to what they hadn't had before?
See, I didn't want to go there.
Go there.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I saw this clip, and your mind immediately goes there. There was a part in that clip where he giggles a little bit, and he's like, "Man, I just love being on the court with him." He gets after it all the time. He takes matchups personally. I mean, yeah, man. Call a spade, baby. I mean, that's just, I mean, he's keeping it real, man. And he said his basketball IQ is incredible. I think guys like Devin Booker, guys like Kevin Durant, they just want to know that they're going to war with guys that are willing to get in a foxhole with them and take everything that comes with that. That's what they want more than anything. You're allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to fail because they're going to make mistakes too. But damn it, if you're going to make a mistake, you're going to die trying. And that's what I got from that. Just a guy that is willing to do whatever it takes to win a basketball game. And they're psychos. Devin's a psycho when it comes to competitive nature in basketball. So, yeah, that was pretty cool for Nurk, man.
Is your heart into it? Is your heart into it? That's the only question you need to ask a player.
Yeah.
Is your heart into it? Can you see that a guy is doing everything they possibly can on the court, whether it's successful or not? Is their heart in the right place? Are they motivated to compete? And when you look at Nurk, I don't feel like you could ever say that he's not into it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's never a doubt. You can't say that about every single Sun that's played with Devin Booker, especially at the center position, especially last year. Like, you just couldn't. Like, you saw homie didn't have any heart in the playoffs. He got elbowed in the ribs once, and he was like, nah, I'm good. Like, that's zero heart. That's zero heart. And I'm glad Devin Booker understands that. He listen, again, I've said this a million times on this pod. If you see Devin Booker in practice, you'll understand like how serious he takes this and how much he wants to rip everybody's head off that goes against him. He just does. That's the way he's built. He's a competitive guy. And if you can't stand that, you can't be around him. You just can't.
That's
like
right.
you won't stand the test of time. The fact that DeAndre Ayton did make it to 5 seasons here in the Valley is kind of a miracle, because you could see these things coming from time to time. But the thing is that DA would give you those flashes that gave you a little bit of pause, like, oh, is he about to flip the switch? Is he about to turn the corner? And it just never happened. And that's why he's gone.
I actually think it had, what Devin was saying, probably had more to do with the best center that he had played with here, more than Ayton. Well, your formative years, your early years in the league, kind of set your expectation with some guys, right?
Tyson?
And Tyson Chandler set that expectation for what he wanted from a big man. He was his guy who was tied for the Suns' single game rebounding record.
Tyson
before
Chandler.
Nurk. Tyson Chandler.
Yeah.
He saw Tyson work come in, and this was at the end of Tyson's feasibility in the league, and he still busted his ass and went out there even when this team wasn't good and put in the work every night. And I think Devin expects that from a big, and he's seeing it again with Nurkic now. So I think that's part of why it feels so good for him now too, because he's like, that's the standard. This is what, like you're saying, this is what I expect from myself. It's nice to see it from another guy, and nice that I can talk ball with him. Is famous "You can't talk ball with everybody" tweet. I think it's very much like that. Not just Nurkic that he talked about, though. He talked about playing with Kevin Durant, and I found this one really interesting too.
What is it like being around him every day?
I mean, exactly what you just broke it down, basically. Like, you're just dealing with a guy that, you know, really loves his craft. And, you know, for me to be a really big fan first, you know, I had a tweet from 2011. I said, Kevin Durant's my favorite player, but LeBron's the best. I found it when I got drafted. Everybody, you know, they start retweeting it. But just always being a fan, and then, you know, hearing those type of stories about how obsessive he is with his work, and, you know, how he gets after and how much of a hoops junkie he is. And then for all those stories to be living up and him surpassing those, and you really find out that he only cares about hoops, is like, you know, it's a match for me.
You guys ever see American Psycho?
No.
I feel like both Kevin Durant and Devin Booker are the Christian Bale character in that. They're just like, they're nuts about basketball. They're driven to the point where they'll do basically anything.
Yeah.
Like you said, they're psychos when it comes to basketball, and it feels like you listen to Devin talk, and they're just cut from the same cloth that way, and they both approach it that way.
Yeah, there was a clip in there where they talked about, JJ Redick talked about having a conversation with Eric Gordon. And he had, I mean, this is 15 straight years of 25 plus a season. I mean, I don't know if people understand how hard that is, man. And so, you know, there are times where I think, and I'm gonna put myself on blast here, there are times where I've taken Kevin for granted. Like, and because they're so great, you do that. But damn, man, to watch that guy work, and then Book having the privilege of being in the gym with this guy at this point in his career, man, that's incredible. So, you know, he had his fat head on the wall, man. Now he's playing with him. And that just speaks volumes about, one, Kevin Durant, and two, about how Devin Booker downloads information from great players. Like, you got to believe that when it's all said and done, you're going to see some things from Kevin Durant that are in Devin Booker because of this time they spent together.
You know what always strikes me with Devin is, like, every time I hear him talk, actually, every time I hear him speak, it's not very often off outside of the game, right? But when he does, whether it be press conference or something like this, I always feel like he is very calculated at what he is saying.
Yeah.
Every word that comes out of his mouth is very to the point. It's very careful. He doesn't say anything that's off the wall, and he doesn't say anything without intent. And I think when you're talking about playing with a guy like Kevin Durant, he means it.
Yeah.
That he's lived up, if not surpassed, the hype of what he thought he was going to be coming in. And I don't even know, like, man, I don't really have anybody in my life that I was just like, man, if I ever met this person in this industry, like, I would just be like, oh my God, you know, I don't really have that person.
All right, you can say it was me.
Okay. But, like, I don't know what that would feel like to meet your hero or meet an idol or a mentor, and then have them not only match what you think they're going to be like, but surpass it.
Yeah.
And that's the really cool thing about this. And the reason why I think that it works is because they both really enjoy each other, and, you know, they live up to each other's expectations.
Yeah. Al McCoy was that guy for me. Had that, went and worked with him, and it was, they say don't meet your idols, but that was one. And I feel like that's kind of the approach for Devin too. Like, there was no, oh crap, this isn't who I thought it was. It was, this is a guy that's locked in like me, and I had the right guy. JJ and Devin talked a little bit about golf. at the end. I don't have a clip, but if you want to play some golf, you can come out to the tea party that we have going on Saturday, March 23rd. That's a week from this Saturday at 4 p.m. out at Dobson Ranch. Our friends at Dobson Ranch have a new driving range with this amazing tracker system that you can play multiple games. We're going to have competitions all night while we're watching the Suns game. We're going to do a pre and post game out there. There's drinks, merch, contest, prizes. We're going to do 3-point shooting. It is going to be a hell of a time. So make sure to go to gophnx.com and sign up today to join us at the tea party. And you know what? Another thing that you can do today, you can go over to our friends at Empire today and take a look at some new flooring. I got a dog at home. He's made a mess of my freaking carpet. I am in the market for some new flooring, and our friends over at Empire today are going to help me with that. Empire today is really easy to use. They are fantastic. They have a floor visualizer where if you're trying to figure out, do I like this wood grain? Does this carpet make sense? You know, they have it, you use it, and it'll show you what the floor looks like there. And you know, they have unbelievable you know, ability to shop, easy to shop flooring there. I've really enjoyed my experience looking at stuff today, and they pride themselves on convenient shop at home service with unbelievable customer service. And you know, they send techs out, their techs that they have that work around the city. They come out, they take care of things. So schedule a free in-home estimate today. All our viewers can receive $350 off when you use the promo code PHNX. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/PHNX for details. And who I'm talking about next is one of my favorites. Have you guys started using Prize Picks? Because it is my favorite daily fantasy sports. I have let's just say I've dabbled a bit and I've come out a winner. Super easy to use. Okay. You pick more or less on. I've been doing points, rebounds, assists, or points and assists. I go across the board on the NBA, and you know, you pick one or the other, and then you get a multiplier up to, I believe it's 10 or 100x, depending on who you pick, how many people you pick in what you're doing, and you reap the benefits. And let's just say I have reaped the benefits of Prize Picks. They are fantastic, and right now you can sign up today. Go to prizepicks.com/PHNX and use the promo code PHNX for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/PHNX and use that code PHNX. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. We're bearing the lead. There's a lot of talk over the last few days in NBA circles about the Phoenix Suns and potentially being the team that could take down the Denver Nuggets. And the first person understands the Nuggets intimately who said this. It was KCP on a podcast saying that the Suns could be their toughest matchup.
I can't read Chairman's mind, but I think he's talking about a team outside of Denver.
Oh, outside of Denver.
It's the biggest threat, yeah, in the Western Conference.
I would say a healthy Phoenix, a healthy Minnesota. Because Minnesota's always been tough, even last year. You know, that was potentially going to be there. You know, in that spot they're at now. And I would say there's a lot of young teams, like OKC is on the rise too, man. Just like the first two teams above us, and then a healthy Phoenix, you know. So like I feel like them be our biggest threat.
It says something when a guy that's sitting on that team is saying he thinks a healthy Phoenix is probably the biggest threat. He says, healthy Minnesota. Well, Minnesota, I highly doubt is going to be healthy in these playoffs. So then he's really saying Phoenix and OKC. And that's speaking a lot. Two teams ahead of you and then one team that's sitting in sixth there.
First thing, spoken like a man that got rings. Because if you ain't got a ring, you're not doing that. You're not even answering that question.
No, you're not. Nobody's better. I'm not scared of anybody.
Right. So he got the ring, so he's comfortable saying that. And funny, talking about the Devin Booker interview, go back and watch it. JJ tried to get Devin to do that. JJ tried to say, hey, man, give me a team in the West or whatever that's on string on defense that can get y'all a problem. And Book said, man, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that. I ain't giving you no smoke. Yeah. Like they, I ain't giving nobody motivation. So that's funny that two different realms here, But I agree with him. I've been saying it from beginning, man. A healthy Phoenix Suns team in the playoffs, playing for the main 16. They're dangerous, man. They're dangerous. And we, KCP and them boys just saw it the other day in Denver, shorthanded. So yeah, I agree, man. I agree with everything he said. I just think that having a ring allowed him to say it.
I agree. Listen, we've talked all season about Phoenix would be a problem if they could stay healthy. It's always if they could stay healthy. That's always the biggest caveat, and we've seen that this year. When they've not been healthy, it's been, it's kind of hit or miss. But when they're healthy, they play pretty good, and they win most games. So it doesn't surprise me that KCP would say that, especially on the heels of last week losing, despite the fact that they didn't have Devin Booker in that game. I think that's a significant W against a team that didn't have anybody that was out.
Yeah.
In Denver. So you add Devin Booker to that mix, a guy who shot damn near fucking 75% against you in the playoffs. Yeah, that's going to be a problem. And I think they can see that firsthand. And I think they match up with them decently. And like I said, Nurkic isn't the type of dude that's going to stop Jokic, but can he cause a little bit of resistance? In last game, you can't say that he didn't. He gave him some resistance. Yeah. He got physical with him, and Jokic had to figure it out through the game. So it doesn't surprise me, but we've heard that all season. We have heard that all season. We've heard that from a lot of other people, like Phoenix if, and I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but, talk is cheap. I want to see it in the playoffs, and I want to see this team compete at a high level. And I still don't think we've even scratched the surface of how good this team can be.
Well, it wasn't just KCP. The national media has been kind of down on this team, but Kevin O'Connor and Chris Vernon, part of the Ringer Network, seem like they're changing their tune when it comes to the Phoenix Suns.
They will just put up 120. They will outscore you 15-5 in overtime like they did with their win against the Nuggets after the All-Star break, that they can just get so hot that they're the team that there's no answers for their offense. That doesn't matter how great you are defensively, that they can just go with KD, go with Book, go with Beal, and manage to score enough, and their defense can survive enough through effort. Nurkic being tough, playing a little small ball sprinkled in there. Are the Suns actually number 2? Are they number 2?
We've been together too long because you are reading my mind. Look, I think there's a difference here in being number 2 and being the best chance to knock off the Nuggets.
That's a great way to put it. Yes.
Right, because I do think their size could be exposed against some of the other teams that could really punish them. But you got to remember, they're the ones that gave Denver the most problems last year.
Are the Suns most likely to take down the Nuggets? I mean, that's what their hypothesis is. Do you guys agree with that?
I mean, I can't see why not. Like they got all the tools to be able to do it. It's funny that everybody keeps pointing out the offense. It's not the offense that scares me. It's not the offense that concerns me whatsoever. Like even the times in the fourth quarter where they go a little bit dry, I feel like that's going to work itself out. By the time they get to the playoffs, I don't even feel like that's going to be a topic of discussion. It's always been about the defense. We saw the other night against Cleveland how they were just getting run through like nothing in that first quarter and a half. And then they started to tighten up on defense, cause more problems for Garland, and then things slowed down and they won the game. Can they do that for 48 minutes? Can they be locked in defensively to cause problems for not only the Nuggets, but every other team in the league? If they start off tomorrow like they started off on Monday, they'll be down 50 after 2 quarters. You know what I mean? Because we've seen that the Celtics have that potential they were up 45 on the Warriors at halftime. Like, they have that ability, right? But I don't think that this Suns team, they get up for the good games. They do get up. And I don't think when you look at Cleveland, minus all the stars, that they were really that hyped to play a team that missed all their pieces. So tomorrow night's going to be a significantly different story. Let's see what it looks like a week later, or less than a week later, from what just happened on Saturday. Like, let's see how much a difference Devin Booker really can make against this team. And I hope that's a litmus test. And I hope that the Suns perform well because they still got so much more room to improve. And defensively is where they're going to have to prove it.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the stats, the Suns have improved defensively every month of the NBA season. Okay, so they're getting better. They're putting the pieces and getting on a quote unquote string. You saw it against Cleveland. They were able to turn it up and say, okay, we're gonna clamp you now. To your point, so I agree. If they do that against Boston, they'll lose by 100. But I don't think they will, because part of why that happened is the motivation that Book talked about, like getting up for a game on a random whatever day it was in Cleveland, right? Against no talent, or not no talent, but a lot of starters out. And so to get back to the point though, is unequivocally, this Suns team is the team that I think, if I were a Denver Nugget fan, or if I was somebody that followed and covered the Nuggets daily, I'd be worried about the Phoenix Suns, because they got three guys offensively that are assassins, and they're getting better defensively every month. And to the point at the end, they were the team that gave them the biggest hassle last year. And honestly, I struggle with saying team. I mean, there was two guys versus a team last year in the playoffs. That's what it felt like. It felt like Kevin Durant and Devin Booker versus the entire damn Nuggets team. And they went 6 games in a series with Christmas 5, and DeAndre didn't play the last game. So you got to believe that if they get to do this over again, they have a better opportunity.
I'm a little less bullish. If the premise is, are they the most likely in the West to give Denver a hard time? Yeah, but I think part of that has to do with the number of injuries that we're starting to see other teams have. Do the Clippers come out clean? Minnesota's already hurt. How does that all play out? For me, it's going to be tough for the Suns, though, because Nuggets' biggest struggles, lack of depth. They don't have a bench. Same could be said for the Suns. So does the series come down to whose bench performs better? And do you really feel safe to say that the Suns' bench will be one, right? 3-point variance is a big thing for the Nuggets. They struggle when a team hits 18 or more threes against them. That's not the Suns. The Suns are averaging 12 makes this year. Like, it's not, they'd have to up that 3-point volume. And then, okay, how does Nurkic has played well defensively in their matchups this year so far, but how does Nurk perform against Jokic in the playoffs? And we know he's not going to stop him, but how much can he slow him down? And what does that backup center spot look like? These things all concern me when it comes to him. Now, one benefit is Jamal Murray struggles against more lanky defenders, right? And Kevin Durant has stepped up and taken the charge and playing against some of the best on the opponents. So maybe he can slow down Jamal in ways, but I don't want to just act like this is a super great matchup for the Suns. I think they have a very good chance, but there's going to be a lot of things that have to go right. And that 3-point shooting in particular is one that I need to see to believe, because we always talk about they need to get up 30, 38, 40 threes in a game for us to feel good, and they rarely hit that. Does that change in the playoffs? Does that change on the stretch? I don't know.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys a question. Is it a successful season if, let's say in the first round or two, we play the Nuggets and we beat the Nuggets, but we don't go any further? Or does it matter how far we get?
Yeah, I think it's how far we get. I know
if we somehow match up against the Nuggets in the first round, we beat them. Are we good?
No.
For us personally or team? For us personally, I think if
narrative.
No, narrative wise, it depends on how you lose. Like, how do you lose? Do you play the eventual champ really tough to a game 7 and you lose on something close? Do you get blown out like you got blown? Then that's going to depend and determine the narrative, right?
Yeah.
And is it the Western Conference Finals or is it round 2? I like all these things depend narrative wise. I think it's a little bit more palatable if you beat the Nuggets in the first or second round and then you wind up out, because you could say, hey, they beat the defending champs and they were better than they were last year, Suns wise. But I still think we're talking, you have to get to the finals. And even then, if you don't win it, the narrative's going to be, well, this team was put together for one thing and one thing only, and they didn't accomplish it.
Yeah, I like the question, Saul, and I think Espo said if you beat the Nuggets in the second round and get to the conference final, it's a successful season for me. If it's just first round and you out in the second, no. I'm gonna be honest, man. I don't feed into this. The Suns have to win a championship. Well, this was a bust. I just don't. I don't subscribe to that. I'll go one step further. From my point of view, my perspective, if the Suns were to get to the Western Conference Finals, I'm okay. If you're a round away from the NBA Finals with this team, with all the injuries and all the issues they had and the continuity, and knowing that this is more, I've always believed this is more of a 2-year window than a 1-year window. I think Western Conference Finals is where they need to get for me to be able to sleep good at night. If they don't get to the Western Conference Finals, I'm going to feel a little bit jaded about it. But yeah, Western Conference Finals, and I don't care how they get there.
I kind of am on the same page as Espo about, like, it's not if or it's how they do it.
How they do it, okay.
You know, if they get to the Western Conference Finals and then get swept, man, fuck that. No, yeah, that was a terrible. That is not the ending you wanted at all, and I'm not good with that. But just like in 2021, the difference between 2021 and losing in the finals and why the last 2 seasons absolutely sucked is because of how you lost.
Yeah.
You got blown out in the deciding games of at home by 2 teams. Like, that can't happen. As opposed to Milwaukee, where either team could have won the finals. It's just that Milwaukee played just a little bit better than you did. And those games were competitive all the way to the end. You just didn't have enough at the end. I could live with that kind of defeat because you know that they left it all out there. You know what I mean? Whereas the last 2 seasons, you're just like, what the hell is happening right now? It just looks like utter chaos, and you're getting run out of the gym, and that just can't happen. So if they lose like the last 2 seasons this year, I don't care who they play. It's a failure of a season. You got to be competitive, and as long as the Suns are playing at the best of their abilities, I can handle whatever the result is. But they have to play at a high level.
I mean, let's be honest. I'm going to be disappointed if this isn't a title this year because we were sold on that's why this team was put together. Now, am I going to be angry? It depends on how they go out and when, right? But disappointment and anger, I think, are 2 different things. And is it a failure or a disappointment is different too. Like, it's a disappointment if they don't win a title. If they get blown out in a game 7 in the second round, well, that's a failure. That's a catastrophic failure. So I think there's some layers and levels to that as well. But yeah, it's just going to depend on how do you lose if you don't win it all and when. Because the narrative is always determined by that. And to Saul's point, you get blown out in those deciding games the last 2 years, and it changes the whole perspective. Last year, you losing Game 7 to the Nuggets on some freak last second shot. You go, we took them to the to the freaking last second, and they won the title. That just means we're real close. You know.
When Saul, you made a great point. You said if they make it to the conference finals and get swept, that's a failure. I agree. When I say Western Conference Finals, I'm saying losing the conference finals, compete, but you lose. That's fine. But now you open up a can of worms. I just want to ask you this question. You just gave the example of going to the conference finals and getting swept. What if it's the conference finals and you lose again in Game 7?
How did you lose?
No. You're not getting blown out by 40, but you lose.
Again, cool. Like I don't care if
at home.
I'm gonna say this. I'll say this right now. I don't care if it's the first round or the NBA Finals. If the Suns are playing at the max of their abilities and they're playing and controlling things the way that we think they should, and they just happen to get beat on a good day by a good team, I can live with the result. You just weren't good enough because the other team played at a higher level. That's fine. But again, if we go back to this and we're like, oh, they had 23 turnovers in a game. Oh, they gave up 89,000 offensive rebounds, or oh, they did this, or
they scored 3 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, like those things, like I can't accept that, and that's a failure of a year. So again, it's the John Wooden way of thinking for me. It's not about wins or losses. It's about did you do everything you could to prepare accordingly and play to your max potential? If you can, and you did, then I'm good with it, whatever the result is.
I got you. I'm with Giannis. There's no failures in basketball. No, I'm joking.
That is very much a flex view, and I love it. DC said I sounded like an entitled fan, and I know it was with love. But to me, it's not entitlement when you've sat through your entire NBA-loving life and you've seen disappointment and failure and bad basketball, and then you get arguably the most top-heavy, most star power you've ever had in Phoenix history with an owner that's willing to spend. It's not entitlement. It's just, damn, I want to see it. And that's why anything short of it is a disappointment, not a failure necessarily.
Yeah, but I think, there has to be a little bit of reality that sets in when you're talking about this team. Like if you're, I know preseason wise, we had these expectations, but the way the season has gone, like if they get to the NBA finals, I don't care if they get swept at that point. Like that's a miracle of a season that you pulled that off, despite the fact that guy after guy after guy was getting injured left and right. You couldn't get everything on the same page, the inconsistency from game to game. You didn't know what this team was going to do against what opponent every single night. And if they put it all together to make a run, like fantastic. But, I'm right now, the way that they're playing and the inconsistency that they have shown from time to time, like I'm just wanting them to play at a high level and put everything together and have that good chemistry going into the playoffs, and I can live with the result. My expectations, I don't have any expectations. I really don't.
But I'm sorry, you put Beal, you put Booker, you put KD together, and the one thing we've said the whole year is if healthy. Well, if they're healthy in the playoffs and they don't make the finals, that's something you can be disappointed about.
Sure.
As a fan, because you cannot deny the top end talent. And if they had been healthy the whole year and they're sitting in the 6th seed, it's totally different. But it's not a miracle if you make the finals when you have those 3 guys healthy. It's exactly what they were supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, I feel you, dog. I mean, listen, I think being disappointed and categorizing it as failure, 2 different things. It's okay for you to be disappointed.
And that's my point. I don't think it would be a failure if they don't win this year because of those factors, but I definitely would be disappointed knowing the talent. And if they are completely healthy in the playoffs, that's a team with enough talent to win it all.
Yes and no question to put a pin on this, but I got real quick. If I told you right now, knowing everything this team has gone through, chemistry, continuity, injuries, you could sign up for the Western Conference Finals right now. Would you do it? That's it.
Or I roll the dice.
Or you roll the dice.
I roll the dice.
Yeah, I roll the dice.
You roll the dice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not saying you're going to lose in the I'm saying, okay, all right. So
that's what you said.
I did say that.
That was the end of the road.
I did say that.
If I got to choose if they started in the first round or in the Western Conference Finals,
I'm
going to choose the out of big in the Western Conference Finals.
You're right.
I must have forgot that we asked Eric that question. No, look,
I mean, considering everything they've been through, man, if this team can be playing in the Western Conference Finals with a chance to go to the finals, I'd sign up for that.
Yeah. Again, for me, it's about the process. Like, I just want them to play at their peak. I don't really care when it is or how it is. I just want to see them all get on the same page. I want to see what the potential of this team could actually be before we get to the end of the season. I don't feel like I've gotten that game yet. I haven't gotten that game where all 3 dudes were just cooking. The role players were clicking. The bench was fantastic. The defense was locked in. Like we haven't gotten that game, and we might not get that game. That's fine. But that's to me, that's the ceiling. Is like, can they get to that point? And if they can, I feel like everything else is going to take care of themselves, because I do feel like that they're one of the best teams in the NBA.
Yeah.
But we still have a long way to go between now and then.
Tomorrow is that opportunity against the Celtics. So, you know what? Our friends over at Circle K have a great opportunity for you. Become a member of their Inner Circle today. You're going to get 25 cents off your first 5 fill-ups with them. After that, you are going to get 3 cents off every fill up, or once you get to the ASPO level, you can get 5 cents off. You're also going to get a great discount off a bunch of different things like pizza, coffee, iced cold fountain drinks. You're going to get the 6th one free when you buy those. So the Inner Circle has a little bit of everything for you. Make sure to download that Circle K app today to join the Inner Circle. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details.
You actually get your first 5 beverages for free.
Oh, that's true. That is true when you sign up. And then it's every 6th one free that you get after that. And you know what? Game Time, if you're looking for tickets to an event, has got you covered. I'm going to see Bruce Springsteen next week. Got my tickets on Game Time. That was my 40th birthday gift. It's something I inherited from my dad from Jersey.
I'm not judging. I'm not judging.
I'm a flex.
New Jersey, right?
Yeah.
I'm going there with the Fire.
I will judge.
I'm trying to go see Big Daddy Kane in the booth.
Well, look, Game Time can help you out. Even if you procrastinate, Flex.
Okay.
And we know that you're losing a lot of money in our betting segment. So you need to save some money, and our friends over at Game Time can help you do that. Use the promo code PHNX, and you're going to get $20 off your first purchase. All you have to do is download the Game Time app and create an account and use that code. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem promo code PHNX for $20 off. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed on the Game Time app.
Kev says, Kev up there in the chat just said, Thursday, Circle K is going to do an extra discount at the pump if you have the Inner Circle.
Ooh.
Just saying.
Well,
okay.
Good. I need gas tomorrow, so I guess I'm taking advantage
of
that. I want to. We've talked about what could the Suns do in the playoffs. We know the deficiencies that the lineup has, so I want to do a little thought experiment. And credit to Eric behind the Mac. I told him he couldn't talk before, but this was his idea, and he did a great job with this. If you could pick one Suns role player, and by role player we mean some guy that was on the bench, not a starter, but anybody from the past Suns lineups that was a bench guy, to magically come to this Suns team and be that guy that he was as a Suns bench player, who do you think would help this team most accomplish their goals?
Can I go?
Yeah.
Go ahead. I want to go last.
Flex and I are usually on the same page, so I have a feeling I might be taking his, but we'll see.
Okay.
Honestly, to me, it's a no-brainer. It's the only player in Suns history that was the 6th man of the year, I do believe.
Yeah.
We've only had one, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yes. Eddie Johnson. I mean,
no, Barbosa won one.
Okay, so 2.
But 2.
Yeah, to me, it's Eddie Johnson. Like, you
20,000 points. Yeah.
You need a solid defender. Like, yeah, I want him because this second unit from time to time needs some help scoring. I want EJ, and EJ says that he would be averaging 30 today if he was playing in the league. So I want to see it.
I don't doubt him, man. I saw EJ drop some buckets, man. EJ might score 30 in this new league.
It might.
Okay. You going to put it on me, Espro?
You want me to go? I'll go. I think I don't need offense. I got enough offense on this roster. There's one of two ways I'd go, but I think I'm going to go this way. You got no backup big right now. I'm sorry. Drew Eubanks is a nice guy, can take a punch, can get a dunk every once in a while. You have no backup big right now. And you need that, especially if you're going up against the Nikola Jokic's of the world in the playoffs, and the way that Nurk has had some foul trouble, and you've struggled at rebounding, especially on the offensive glass at times. I'm going JaVale McGee. Averaged 9.2 points off the bench, 6.7 rebounds, a vibes guy, and a championship winner. 1-1. I believe Vogel was his coach then too. Look, I'm looking at a guy like that can come in and solidify that backup center position. I thought Jock, but I didn't want to be that much of a homer, and a guy that I love. That's where I'd go. You need a backup big. There were a few other guys that I was going to circumvent, like James Edwards, who technically was 50-50 bench guy starter, and some other guys, but I think that's a guy that could truly help.
Okay. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I think I'm going to throw a curveball into this because the rules are he has to be a bench player for the Suns, and he has to be what he was when he was a bench player for the Suns, correct? Yes. That's the only criteria. We don't care about what he did before or after.
None of that matters.
If you say somebody that also started a majority of his games here too, but he played on the bench for one season, then All right.
Ho.
Here we
I'm
go.
saying you
I already
can't.
know where he's going with this.
Yeah, I know.
All
where he
All
is.
right, so no, I'm going to tell you what I was going to do.
Is this before or after Joe Klein fell into his knee?
No.
Oh,
this
you're not
ain't
going
me.
there.
I'm not going there.
Wow.
No, I'm
I
not
thought you were going Danny Manning.
No, I'm not going there. Listen, give me year 2, Mikal Bridges.
Yep, that's what I thought.
Give me
Okay.
year 2, Mikal Bridges. He was on the bench for 2 years.
This is the same. Hold on.
Give me year 2, Mikal Bridges, who was still a defensive monster. His offensive game didn't develop yet, but give me year 2, Mikal.
Hold on. This is the same.
And why
This
can't
is-
I
hold
do
on.
that?
This is the same horse shit you tried to pull in my office where you're like,
This is
well, can I have a second Devin
this
Booker?
is-
He was
'Cause
30
I could
games on the
take,
bench.
I could take rookie Devin Booker for 30
my
games,
God.
and I have
this
2
is
Devin.
such a Lindsay move. Oh my gosh. You
all right.
found the loophole and you tried to take it.
Okay.
David said, I was going to say Steve Nash. Yeah, you would have only gotten bench Steve Nash, who was third string point guard,
Yeah.
not MVP Steve Nash. That's the whole point in this thought
All right,
experiment.
I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna refrain from cheating because that's like I guess y'all.
Sean Marion now.
Yeah.
He's like, hey,
I do. That's what I thought you were going with, Sean Marion.
Oh man, you know where I. Yeah. All right. So now I can't do Sean Marion. I'm gonna keep it real simple. A guy that I wanted the Suns to get this trade deadline, but couldn't get it done. I'll take Campaign back. Give me Campaign back for this playoff run. And I got a little speedster that could push the tempo, give me a little bit of security in the backcourt. I'm going to keep it relatively recent, and I'm going to go with my boy Campaign.
okay,
Since y'all said I can't have Mikal Booker and Sean
Can
Marion.
we throw some honorable mentions out
Go
there?
ahead, go ahead.
I know this might not be popular, but I do love the
Gerard
energy,
Mustaf.
the effort. No, he's a killer. I do like the energy that he provided for a short, brief amount of time. I'm a big fan of Lou Amundsen.
Okay.
Lou's
Lou
ponytail.
Amundsen was my
Yo,
guy.
yo,
I
he
can
was
see that.
the effort, the defense, like it was all there. That's what this
Yeah.
team could use. Like, give me Lou Amundsen.
You know who I like in that cuff and that cloth? When he was here, I thought he was a fucking dog off the bench. Bo Outlaw.
Yeah.
I love
Not-
my boy
Doesn't
Bo
really
Outlaw.
fit today's game. Guy
No.
couldn't
He
shoot a
doesn't,
lick,
but he'll knock you on your ass and rebound and do some dirty stuff. Give me an honorable mention, man.
was Wayman Tisdale was a starter.
No, he wasn't.
No, so Wayman would be a guy I
Wayman
consider.
Tisdale
Plus,
was
he could
nice.
perform at halftime too, save some money there. Amazing.
rest in peace, Wayman.
Rest in
musician.
peace.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
rest in peace, my guy.
We're playing. Hold
He's
on.
giving me shit for Devin Booker,
Hold
but
on,
he's
we're playing. The game is the guy. We'd be getting the time machine and the guy that played for the Suns. Elliot Perry's another guy in the mind
Sox. Yeah,
in the mindset
Sox.
that you were saying to have a point guard, a backup point guard. I feel like Elliot Perry could be interesting.
man.
Averaging
All right, one more
4
honorable
points.
mention.
Wait.
4
You
points.
want
One more
66?
honorable mention.
You want a hot take?
No.
Elliot Perry was so overrated.
You didn't like Elliot?
He was
Me,
all right.
me.
He's
But-
all right.
The Road
Okay, but
Runner?
right now, you would you take Elliot Perry or Saban Lee?
Oh yeah.
If you say Saban Lee, I'm done with you.
Of course, I'm taking Sox, dude.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, Boris Diaw's good too.
Yeah, that's a
that's
good
a good
one.
one, man.
That's a good
What
one.
was your honorable mention? Good one, Flex. All right.
Damn, it just no, I just had it, and then y'all start talking about socks, and it threw me off.
Mark West is a good call by DC. Andrew Lang,
It'll come back to
a
me.
Lang bang. You could go with that. I don't like the Tim Thomas one.
Cedric Sabalos is a guy I would
Ooh,
like.
Yeah,
Ced
Ced
would
would
That
be
was a
good
guy.
as well. So yeah, all fun. I think there's a lot of guys from the past of this team that certainly could help. But in the end, if you're just going for best value and guy that could do the most, I think you're right with the EJ pick. But let's be honest, EJ shouldn't have been a sixth man in the time he was. He had starter quality when he was playing for the Suns.
Yeah, but
in
he
the
had
late 80s.
but he had a bench attitude, so
Clip that, Eric, and let's run it on the next.
Shout out to Eddie Johnson. You know, for some reason, like about 2 weeks ago, I was watching Game 7 of the Sonic Suns 92-93
yeah,
West
he had like
Coast
32
Final,
in
but
that.
he destroyed the Suns. He's the only one that came to play that game for the Sonics.
he almost damn near beat us
He
by
damn
himself.
near did, yeah.
You know what? after a long game and a long playoff run and a long thought process like this, I like to have a Michelob ULTRA. Shut the hell up. I'm the only one reading these ads with Lindsey gone, and you're going to listen to me as I do them.
2.5 grams, 90 calories.
It's 2.5 carbs,
carbs
96 calories, all taste. Michelob ULTRA is spectacular. And you know what? They've also got not just beer, they got organic seltzer now as well. So if you're not a beer person, they got you covered with Michelob ULTRA's organic seltzer essential collection made with coconut water and real fruit juice. So you know it's always going to have a refreshing, superior
natural
taste.
Juices and berries.
Plus, it's still only 90 calories and 0 sugar, which is important. Head over to MichelobULTRA.com to find out how you can win superior NBA prizes and to find a Michelob ULTRA. I keep wanting to say Mick Ultra, but it's Michelob ULTRA near you. It's only worth it if you enjoy it, and please enjoy responsibly. And you know what I always enjoy? Our time over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. If you love to have a fun weekend out, there's nothing better than going over to Wild Horse Pass. They've got great food. They've got the best gaming floor you're going to find in the state. They've got a sports book with BetMGM that is unlike any other, and they got great shows there as well. So make sure to check it out this weekend or anytime, really. You can go there. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playathila.com. Before we get out of here, I want to take a look at where the Suns sit in the Western Conference standings. We know they got the big game tomorrow afternoon against the Celtics coming up, but let's take a look. The Suns, as Flex said, even when you're not playing, you can move up and down in these standings. The Suns are back in 6th out of the play-in. They're half a game ahead of Sacramento. They are 1.5 behind New Orleans in that 5th seed. Dallas sitting a game back in the 8th seed. Lakers at 2.5 back of the Suns in the 9th seed, and 3.5 back is the Golden State Warriors in the 10th seed. So the West is still bunched up in that back half, but a couple games to watch tonight that will have an impact on what's going on. You've got Mavs, Warriors, so at least one of the teams behind you is going to lose. Actually, 2 of the teams behind you, because you got Lakers and Kings as well tonight. So there's going to be some movement. Yeah, you're going to gain ground on somebody. Hopefully, it's the Kings and Mavs tonight. But at least one of 2 of those teams are going to fall further behind you tonight.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, it'll be fun. Listen, I think we're going to do this for the rest of the season, right?
Yeah, definitely pre-games.
Might as well have something to watch while the Suns are on an off day.
Yeah, and I believe that Lakers game is on ESPN tonight. So check that out on national TV, and we will update you on it tomorrow. It's Suns, it's Celtics. It's an afternoon game. I believe we're here at 4 p.m. with your pregame show, 4:30 tip-off as the Suns take on the beast of the East, the Boston Celtics. So until then, you can follow Flex.
Wait, we got a super chat.
Oh, do we have a super? Yeah. Let's read the super chat. Thank you. Good catching. Time Travel Volunteer says, off topic, but Saul, did I catch you on this weekend's bar rescue in Fountain Hills?
Yes, you did.
I'm sore about this.
It was Monday. It was Monday night. Yeah, myself and Totri were on that episode. I got a speaking line, so did Totri. It was pretty cool. We were the undercover spies. It was pretty dope.
I was supposed to be there.
What was your line?
I think I said, do you have any food?
Okay.
That was it. That's
you got that down, bro.
Yeah. I knocked it out, man. Give me my Oscar right now.
What did Totri say? You got high chair for this bitch?
I forgot what he... Damn. I forgot what Totri said. But yeah, it was cool. I got to meet John Taffer. He was dope as hell.
Yeah, peep that.
Yeah.
Totri said
season 9, episode 3.
Season 9, episode 3.
Totri said, "Hey, do you guys show ASU basketball?" And the guy laughed in his face. Was that his line?
Basically.
So you can follow Flex at Flex from Jersey. You can follow Saul at Saul_Bookman. You can follow the show at PHNX_Suns. And you can follow me at Espo. My side is always against Totri. Ahoy, hoy.
We all silly like the mayor.